Hello and welcome to PBM Investments Podcast. Today we're going to do a roundup of the American markets and what's happened, as well as the European markets as well, and some of the stock news and tips you should be aware of. So let's start off with the European roundup. FTSE 100 was down 171 points. The CAC 40 was also down 170 points. DAX, the German stock exchange, was down 426 points too. Now, a lot has been happening. Lots of shares going down, indexes going down. Netflix, though, over in America, has actually jumped because sales has gone up over 11% over the quarter. They announced their newest customers have actually increased over the course of the quarter. No surprise because of the coronavirus, probably because everyone's indoors. So I did mention before in the other podcasts, things like Netflix, Amazon, Sky TV, anything with home entertainment, streaming services will go up. The longer we're in lockdown, the more likely we are to continue to have that. That is not for me, 100%. Dow ends over 600 points down as stocks suffer for a successive day. Yesterday it was down, I think, over 400 points, and today it's down over 600. Will it continue to go down tomorrow? We'll soon find out. Just a roundup of today's US closing market scores. The S&P 500 index was down just over 86 points, and NASDAQ was down just over 297 points. The reason behind it, a lot of it's down to the oil. Oil prices have kind of taken a hit, and a lot of people are just scared because they just don't know what's going to happen next. And the volatility is rampant because of the coronavirus, and various states, such as New York, are struggling to cope with unfortunate deaths. The economy's tanking, getting lower and lower and lower. And this is not just happening in America, it's happening in various places in Europe and also over in Asia too. Even though certain countries are actually coming up with plans to end the lockdown, and some have actually released lockdown measures such as Germany, but there's still pressure on them because even though they've eased the pressure of the lockdown, there's various people that are still at home. There's a lot more economy that's not been going back to the same amount. There's a lot of companies that are looking for bailouts, as I said to you before in the other podcast, and that's not just happening in the UK, it's happening on a worldwide scale. And while people are at home and they're not working and they're actually on furlough, which is what governments are actually paying our taxes are paying them to do so, there's no growth, there's no economy. And without the economy kind of circulating that growth and us being productive, it's difficult to see any reason why these stocks and shares should go up. And so I think it's going to go down until, again, we find a vaccine, until we get back. Most of us will get back to work, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I know it's a bit gloomy, this particular podcast, but look on the bright side. There's still options to short various stocks and shares. And like I say, there's always a silver lining if you look for it. Thank you very much for watching. And like I say, there's a story in everything and everyone. I'll come back to you again tomorrow with a roundup of the Asian market and what happens then with the stocks and shares and the tips thereafter. If you've got any questions, or if you have any queries, or if you're doing well in the various stocks and shares or spread betting that you're doing, drop me a comment, let me know what you're doing, and anything you want me to also highlight or you want me to look into, I could look into it in various other podcasts in the future as well. I've got plenty of time. Thank you for your time. You take care.